Hi everyone, welcome back to Novel Nomad, and today I'll be doing the Pixar book tag. I am a particular fan of Disney Pixar, but specifically Pixar movies just because there is so much heart and so much great storytelling in these animated films. So I actually saw this tag over on Sun's channel, which is Pages and Prose. Go check her out. She is absolutely fantastic. I love watching her videos and also her like vintage posters in the background. Awesome stuff. But this tag was actually created by Matt from This Is Me. I'll link him down below with questions and such, but let's get straight on into the tag. Question 1, Cars, where the characters go on a long journey. Now this one I thought was quite a good example because the characters go on a journey over 3 books. Can you guess which one I'm talking about? Yes, that is none other than Lord of the Rings by J.R.R. Tolkien. Now, I think you initially probably follow Frodo. He journeys from the Shire, which is a very homely, very comfortable existence with the other hobbits, and he takes up this great quest and goes off into the world on this great grand adventure and into absolute peril and danger as he becomes the ring bearer to take the ring to Mordor and for once and for all destroy the power that is Sauron, the Dark Lord. So this was an absolutely fantastic read. So I got into this series after watching the first movie. I'd actually already read The Hobbit, which is almost like a prequel. You do see a few of the characters from The Hobbit in this book and some of their ancestors in this book too. So I got onto this straight after I watched the movies, I think back in the early 2000s, 2001, and it is a little bit more of an intense, a lot more literary style for fantasy, but it was definitely something that I wanted, and it challenged my reading at the time when I was still very much into Tamora Pierce and young adult fantasy. Question 2, Inside Out, a book on the mind. And this seems a bit of a cop-out because mind is actually in the title of this book, but Penny Reid's Bearded Mind is really wonderful in its depiction of OCD. The author herself has a form of OCD, so she's very honest in her portrayal of OCD, and she doesn't glamorize it, she doesn't simplify it. She really focuses on someone who suffers from OCD and what they have to go through mentally and physically every single day with this condition. It is not something that's simply blown off because it's become like a passing phrase, I'm a little bit OCD about that. That is something that is taken quite seriously in this book, and it is wonderfully portrayed within a romance as well. So how someone with OCD really comes out in her own way and becomes who she is within a society and is accepted by someone, and her partner who actually goes through the process of understanding how to live with someone with OCD and how to understand and be there for that person. Question 3 is Monsters Inc. Who or what is your favourite and most lovable book creature? Now this is quite hard because obviously you have all the cute little things in Harry Potter. There's so many cute little sidekicks, but I do love a bit of sass and I do love a bit of snark. And so I had to choose Mogget from Sabriel. Mogget is actually a white cat, but he is quite mysterious as he has a very small bell. Bells are quite significant in this series as warding off demons. He has a very small bell and chain around his neck, so he is something else. But not only is he a very pretty white cat, he is a cat that can talk. So have you ever wanted to have a cat snark back at you? Mogget does a wonderful job in this. He is absolutely hilarious, and him with the disreputable dog that appears in Liriel are absolutely hilarious together. But I do love Mogget. I think he is a wonderful character. He is very much his own character in Sabriel, and he provides a lot of the comic relief at times. Question 4 is Finding Nemo, Best Book Dad. And for this one I had to choose Hans Huberman, or also known as Papa, in The Book Thief by Markus Zusak. This book follows Liesel as she's taken to the south of Germany to Munich during World War II. She is an orphaned child and she's taken to the Hubermans to be fostered out. What I love about Hans Huberman is he's incredibly supportive of Liesel. In many of these situations where you have a foster child or someone who in a time of great tension who could have been easily preyed upon by the powers that by the powers that be. This small defiance in even fostering a child from a questionable background was absolutely wonderful. It's a very small act of defiance, and it's very interesting to see these very small snippets of humanity showing through in these characters. So Hans was always a really wonderful father figure for me because he took that risk, he was making that statement, but he also supported Lisa. He got to know his new daughter as such, and he supported her in all her endeavours, which was really wonderful. Question 5 is Brave, Best Book Mum. And for this one, I've chosen another situation similar to The Book Thief, where it is a foster system, but in this case, Marilla Cuthbert adopts Anne Shirley. It is quite interesting to begin with. She doesn't seem like a very sympathetic or very empathetic character. She's very hard and rough around the edges to begin with, but Anne, being such a lovable and open character, really starts to bring out the beauty and kindness that is in Marilla Cuthbert. Question 6 is Toy Story, a book from your childhood that you think everyone should read. And for me, I'm going for a classic, which is Kenneth Grahame's The Wind in the Willows. This one I think is wonderful for children because it actually has a character who is quite introverted and shy and lives in a very small community. I'm talking about Mole. He lives in his own little world and he has a few friends that he knows, and he has to go out and is forced out of his little mole hole into the world and into an adventure and to meet new people and to help people and become part of the society. So I think this is wonderful, and it's also very idyllic. You have the picnics, you have the English countryside. It retains the magic and the idealism of English countryside, but also has that little bit of a challenge and a little bit of adventure in there as well. Question 7, The Incredibles. What superpower or ability would you like if you could? For me, this has always been quite simple. I'd want to fly. I'd honestly want to do like the whole like Superman, zoom off into the air. I wouldn't want to have a pose to fly though. That might be a bit ridiculous, but I would love to have the ability. That's why I've always loved in Harry Potter having the owls, or even doing like the transformation classes to turn yourself into a bird. Question 8, Ratatouille. What fictional food would you like to eat if you could? And that would be anything that Chef Owen Wedgwood in Eli Brow's Cinnamon and Gunpowder prepares. This book made me so hungry. It was unbelievable. It was absolutely beautifully written. He must have taken a food writing course, or he is practicing to be a professional chef himself, because it not only described how Owen managed to make the food, it also described how this food smelled, how the food smelt, and how the taste and the flavours and the blending. It was absolutely wonderful. It did remind me very much of Ratatouille in that way, that it goes through how food should be appreciated for all the little elements that it brings to the palate. So yeah, this was absolutely delicious book to read. Question 9, and the last question for this tag, is Coco, a book with an international setting. And for this one I've chosen the setting of Indonesia. The writer himself, Andre Hirata, based his story very much on almost his life really, because he grew up in a small Indonesian mining town, and the characters you see the characters grow through this small Indonesian mining town and how they find and discover the importance of education. And it was really wonderful to read. It's a very uplifting and heartwarming story as this remote village school manages to compete in these very prestigious competitions, and the children manage to capture the excitement that is learning. So it is really wonderful, and I managed to meet the author, and he was so excited that his book had been translated because it was an Indonesian bestseller. So I hope you enjoyed the Pixar tag. I'm probably going to go off and watch a Pixar movie now. In all honesty, it's probably going to be Ratatouille, just because I love that movie. But before I do that, tell me down below, what is your favourite Pixar movie and what superpower would you have if you could? I would still believe flying, or at least transforming into a bird, would be my absolute top pick. So I'll see you next time. Happy reading. Bye!